Chapter 23:17, Lunar People 1. After expanding, the ink-like shadow transformed into a colossal beast hundreds of meters tall, wielding a simple yet massive longsword in its massive hand. Its strike, a mere basic slash, was executed with the force of a bold stroke of ink on white paper. With a single swish, it severed the very space between them. Xiulian's strike collided fiercely with that ink-like slash, instantly unleashing a terrifying energy storm. Meanwhile, Feng seized the moment, scooping up Meteor and plunging deep into the heart of the lost forest, shrouded in black mist. Seeing this, a burning fury flared in Xiulian's eyes. The fire seed absolutely cannot be taken away. Otherwise, this satellite will be utterly doomed. She raised her longsword high, addressing the vast, imposing ranks of holy silver knights behind her. "Follow me. Charge into the lost forest and bring Meteor back." The clang of metal echoed deafeningly as the holy silver knights rallied their spirit. Roaring like an unstoppable torrent of steel, they surged into the vast, eerie jungle shrouded in black mist. Yet shortly after the torrent entered that region, a terrifying sound echoed from the jungle's depths, like the roar of a mountain god. Black mist churned, and vast dark clouds rapidly gathered among the mountains, moving toward the edge of the lost forest. Within that enormous cloud, a grotesque, inhuman face coalesced midair. Xiulian's eyes finally shifted. Those monsters! Every holy silver knight plunging into the mist rapidly lost color, their bodies fading like white paper soaked in ink. Screams echoed in waves as their forms seemed crushed flat, flattening into thin sheets of human skin. But it wasn't just their bodies that were compressed. Armor, weapons, anything touched by the ink met the same fate. Xiulian shouted urgently, "Retreat!" At that simple command, all the holy silver knights who hadn't been inked and flattened immediately withdrew from the mist-shrouded area. Flames of anger and agitation flickered in Xiulian's eyes. Even she dared not step into this forbidden land, a gathering place for powerful madmen. The spark must not be lost. Otherwise, the one upon the silver throne cannot sustain his power. We must bring Meteor back. Yet entering this black mist forest was clearly impossible for her. It wasn't that she feared death, but because doing so would be a meaningless sacrifice. She flung back her wide silver cloak. Return to the Brilliant Moon Empire first. Since she came from the Dark Moon Empire, we'll pressure those hideous monsters into retrieving her for me. Across the planet, nations trembled at the moon's upheaval. In Brahma, Emperor Indra received the news while seated cross-legged in meditation within his temple. His legs crossed, one arm raised high, eyes closed in intense focus. For the next month, no matter what occurred, he would not lower that arm, a testament to his devotion to the Trimurti, a sacrifice to earn divine blessing. Suddenly, he slowly opened his eyes. "A guest has arrived. So this is how it is. I understand." After murmuring to himself for a moment, he addressed the outer chamber, "Admit the guest." His command echoed as palace doors swung open. A monk attendant escorted a man clad in traditional attire inside. The man possessed fair skin and a high, straight nose, carrying an air of Western origin. Though he wore culturally appropriate attire out of respect for Emperor Indra, his movements remained stiff and constrained. He was Rajesh Thakur, Minister of Home Affairs for Brahma. Upon seeing Emperor Indra, Rajesh first bowed reverently with palms pressed together. Before he could speak, Emperor Indra extended his left hand, wearing a serene smile that seemed to see through everything. "You need not speak. I already know your purpose." Hearing this, Rajesh couldn't help but marvel, "Your Excellency truly lives up to being favored by the Trimurti. Before I could utter a word, you already knew why I came. Then, might you resolve the doubts in my heart?" Rajesh gazed at Emperor Indra, his expression tinged with tension. Emperor Indra, whose true name was Anand Sharma, had been a world-renowned psychic and prophet even before the apocalypse. After the end of the world, he attained even greater power, hailed as the divine emissary walking among mortals. He remained the most revered figure in Brahma. More than his formidable combat prowess, it was his infallible prophetic abilities that earned him the deepest trust. Within Emperor Indra's eyes, chaotic patterns flickered like a kaleidoscope. He smiled and nodded. Of course. Rest assured, in the future I see, the moon remains intact. It will continue to hang high in the sky, illuminating our nights. For a human hero will come to save everything. Rajesh exhaled a long sigh of relief. That is truly wonderful. But who is this hero? How shall we find him and ask him to save humanity? Emperor Indra rose to his feet, his left hand still raised high, a composed smile on his face. This human hero, he declared, is none other than myself. Rajesh was speechless. Rajesh's eyes widened, his mind brimming with sarcastic remarks. He had trusted Emperor Indra initially, though he'd heard this divine messenger was notoriously arrogant, a trait that had once led to a humiliating defeat at the hands of chaos from Hashu kingdom. But old habits die hard, and now it seemed his old ways had resurfaced. Lord Indra, did you truly witness yourself saving the moon? Rajesh asked uncertainly. Though slightly presumptuous, the stakes were too high to let such claims go unchallenged. Indra frowned slightly. Who else could it be? I am the chosen one, the only one. Since the Trimurti showed me the future calamity, only I can avert all crises. Rest assured, I shall intervene personally. Rajesh had no choice but to believe him now. After all, Emperor Indra's prophecies had never been wrong. Even if he could only glimpse the broad outlines of the future, not its minutiae. As long as the human world wasn't destroyed, the high castes of Brahma could sleep soundly. That won't be necessary. Rajesh chuckled. Our nation lacks the capability for spaceflight or lunar missions. Last month we conducted a space experiment, and guess what? It exploded before even reaching 1,000 meters. With less capability comes less responsibility. Chapter 23:18, Lunar People 2. Upon hearing this, Emperor Indra's expression darkened. The monumental mission of saving all humanity, without me, Emperor Indra, it would be impossible to accomplish. Are you prepared to disregard the future of all mankind? Rajesh asked in confusion, didn't you say the problem would be resolved? Even if you don't act, others will. Why not remain on the ground? It's perfectly safe. We don't want you to take such risks. Emperor Indra grew even angrier, for he knew Rajesh spoke the truth. The trajectory of future events would not shift merely because humans observed it. His ability to foresee the future was, in fact, itself a part of that future. Cause and effect, it was not merely that cause preceded effect. Effect giving rise to cause was also a law of causality. In other words, whatever happened next would not alter the future, where the lunar matter was resolved by humans. Of course, Emperor Indra could not accept this. No, I must go. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to show the entire world the might of our Brahma. And my own prowess. The latter part was his true sentiment. Rajesh approached him with deep concern, speaking with utmost reverence, but if you go, you must leave the borders of Brahma. Without access to the power of faith of our millions of devotees, you may face grave danger. Emperor Indra had long been immersed in ascetic practices, scarcely paying attention to events beyond his seclusion. Rajesh and other high-ranking officials, however, had been vigilantly monitoring the outside world. They knew clearly that Zhang Yi of neighboring Hashu kingdom now possessed power rivaling a black bishop, having once demonstrated his prowess against the Wulwan Empire above the Pacific. Over in Britannia, the third conquest of Atlantis had returned triumphant, though the true extent of those Knights of the Round Table's strength remained unknown. To the north lay Fremons. When the Yihen tribe emerged, they revealed their base within the Arctic Ocean. The Pantheon believed this site held ancient ruins left by the Yihen, prompting an expedition led by Morana, the winter goddess, and Alexei Ivanov, Thor. Over half a year, they reaped substantial rewards and saw their strength grow tremendously. Fremons made no attempt to conceal this, instead, they deliberately publicized it. Moreover, after the war against the mechanical civilization, they emerged as the second biggest winner after Zhang Yi, amassing vast quantities of mechanical legion wreckage. Their national power surged rapidly. Compared to them, Emperor Indra could only rely on the power of faith of billions of devotees within the religious nation of Brahma to defend his homeland. News of the massive fissure on the lunar surface began spreading across the world. The source of this information remained unknown, but judging by their concealment of identity, it was highly likely the work of that enigmatic underground organization Pupil. The news spread ever wider, eventually igniting a colossal storm across the entire globe. On any cloudless night, one need only look up and use a high-powered optical microscope to clearly see that terrifying fissure. Thus, in the blink of an eye, the entire world plunged into immense panic over this matter. Western Europe, Vatican, headquarters of the Holy See. Pope Alexander X, clad in a white gold brocade robe, sat solemnly upon the papal throne. He was excessively aged, his skin sagging like chicken skin, struggling even to open his eyes, his face covered in liver spots symbolizing death. This man, nearing a century in age, was the most powerful figure on the planet, without a single rival. He was the spiritual leader of hundreds of millions of devout believers worldwide after the apocalypse. Countless souls would willingly die for a single word from him. Seated upon his throne, he was flanked by a strikingly handsome youth with golden hair. Below the steps, two figures knelt in reverent submission. The war knight from the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse of the Holy See, Father Corey Orion, known as the Priest of Commandments. And the Night of Pestilence, the Morning Sister, Brittany Leibniz. Both bowed their heads devoutly, awaiting the Pope's command. Alexander X's voice emerged slowly from his throat. The upheaval above the moon has already begun. This is a sign from God. This is not a bad thing. For us, it presents a rare opportunity. At this point, his tone suddenly grew more solemn. However, those traitors seem intent on meddling, complicating this event. What do you say we should do? The hot-tempered priest with snow-white hair and perpetually angry expression raised his head, baring his teeth. What's there to discuss? Your Holiness, send me forth. I shall slaughter every last one of those heretics. Morning Sister Leibniz, beautiful and captivating, furrowed her brow slightly. This incident has already become known throughout the world. We cannot act rashly, lest we invite backlash. Therefore, this operation must be meticulously planned. The Pope propped his cheek with one hand, pondering deeply for a long while. His withered, yellow eyes shifted before he finally spoke. We must journey to the moon. This time, I intend to send both of you. Take the Book of Revelation with you. Should anyone obstruct our plans, send them to meet the Lord. Your command is my command, Your Holiness. Corey Orion placed a hand over his heart, his voice brimming with excitement. Fighting for the Holy See was his deepest desire. The nun nodded devoutly. But just then, the blond youth beside them spoke up. With only the two of them, it seems difficult to handle the powerful mutants from various nations. The Pope chuckled softly. That is precisely why I sent them on this mission. To accomplish the task, they must wield not only strength, but wisdom. He extended his right hand, and swiftly, a golden holy light materialized before him. Within that radiance, an ancient and sacred tome emerged, the Book of Revelation, bound in parchment scrolls. Then, astonishingly, the single volume slowly split into two, each floating toward one of the two men. The Book of Revelation itself possessed no physical form. It was the crystallization of faith, embodying the millennia-old spiritual foundation of the entire Eastern Orthodox Church. Its true power was beyond anyone's imagination. Yet only the most devout believers could unlock its true might. With reverent hands, the two received the Book of Revelation and withdrew upon receiving their orders. Chapter 23:19, Lunar People 3. Hashu Kingdom, Tianhai City. The reconstruction of Tianhai City was nearing its final stages. Though the fall of the Wulwan Empire hadn't yet spread widely, Zhang Yi made no effort to conceal it. Hashu Kingdom's military strength had surged dramatically, a fact neighboring nations could sense through the enhanced capabilities of its mutant individuals and the strengthening of its military equipment. Even Tianhai City underwent expansion under Zhang Yi's direction. From its initial span of merely a dozen kilometers, it now extended over 100 kilometers. With the Wulwan Empire, the greatest threat, eliminated, no underground civilization or foreign power would dare challenge Hashu in the near future. After all, few openly existing underground civilizations surpassed the Wulwan Empire in strength, and Zhang Yi had not antagonized any of them. As for those with whom he had conflicts, such as the marshland nation beneath Neon Island and Atlantis in Nordic, Zhang Yi judged their strength unlikely to surpass that of the Wulwan Empire. Thus, the present-day Hashu kingdom had evolved to a level no weaker than that of a typical underground civilization. Their technological prowess and military capabilities had reached astonishing heights in the years following the apocalypse. The sky was bright and clear. Zhang Yi sat atop the Tianhai fortress, gazing at the lush green lawns below, where workers labored and children played and rested. Above him stretched a sunlit blue sky dotted with white clouds. The air held a pleasant warmth, making one momentarily forget that 5 years had passed since the apocalypse. This was the latest spatial technology. Zhang Yi had enveloped the entire Tianhai city within an isolation dome, its temperature fully controllable. This technology originated from the Wulwan Empire. Though their scientific prowess paled in comparison to the Tsunyuan tribe, their ability to endure for billions of years proved they possessed valuable insights. Most crucially, what Zhang Yi had acquired from the Wulwan Empire was a complete, integrated technological system. From military engineering to biological sciences and humanities, though the lizard folk had perished, their technology lived on. Surveying the scene before him, Zhang Yi felt gratitude for the Wulwan Empire's legacy. Yet when he raised his hand to summon the moon's projection, the sight of that immense scar filled him with unease. Is this what they meant by the day of the fall? Behind him, someone climbed up the ladder and sat beside Zhang Yi. It was Zhou Qir. The moment Zhang Yi caught the scent of roses on her, he knew it was her. She adored that particular high-end perfume. Zhang Yi, what's wrong? You look troubled. Smiling, she covered her skirt with both hands and slowly sat beside him, revealing the astonishingly perfect curve of her waist and hips. Having been with Zhang Yi for nearly 5 years, she had acquired the allure of a mature woman, yet still possessed that childlike face paired with ample curves. After all, her immortal ability allowed her to reshape her body at will. She tailored her figure precisely to match Zhang Yi's preferences, sculpting it into his ideal form. Already stunningly beautiful, minor adjustments had perfected her proportions to the golden ratio, making her even more captivating. Calling her the modern-day version of the goddess of beauty, Venus, the world's most beautiful woman, would be no exaggeration. After all, she was a natural beauty in every sense. Zhang Yi gazed at the stunning Qir. Her thick, jet-black hair cascaded down her back, gently swaying in the breeze. Her beautiful eyes brimmed with adoration and concern for him. Zhang Yi couldn't help but pull her into his embrace. With a sigh, he said, "Yes, it's been 5 years since the apocalypse. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, we've journeyed from that snow-covered, peril-filled Uelu neighborhood to where we are now. The warehouse manager who once only cared about his own survival now has the lives of so many others on his shoulders." Zhang Yi lamented, "When will this apocalypse ever end?" Zhang Yi rarely exposed his vulnerable side in front of others. Not even in front of Lu Karen, Fatty Su, or the others. As the team leader, he had to stay strong and give others confidence. Only in Zhou Qir's presence did he allow himself to be vulnerable. Zhou Qir held Zhang Yi close and whispered softly, "Everything will be okay. You've done an amazing job. As for the moon incident, it's not your responsibility alone. I believe every nation and major organization worldwide is strategizing about this. Didn't Hotu also say the Dragon Clan doesn't care about this? That means it hasn't reached the point of world destruction yet. Otherwise, should we consider going to Mars to build a life base? Leave the biological science aspects to me." Zhang Yi squeezed her slender yet full waist. Easier said than done. The revival of the Drucker clan is an inevitability. If we evade it now, decades or centuries from now, the situation will only worsen. Ever since Zhou Qir awakened her Epsilon-level ability, the immortal, her understanding of life had reached a new level. The microscopic realm. She could even alter the telomeres within human cells, optimizing them to increase the number of divisions. In other words, she could significantly extend human lifespans. Zhang Yi even believed that if she ever reached the legendary realm of Ling, she might achieve true physical immortality. Precisely because of this, Zhang Yi and his companions had all undergone Zhou Qir's modifications. According to her projections, they could live beyond 300 years. And this figure would increase as her abilities grew stronger. That's why he needed to contemplate matters so far into the future. Hearing Zhou Qir's reassurance, Zhang Yi understood the logic himself, but hearing it from his woman made it feel much better. He held her close, resting for a while before slowly rising to lead her away. You're right. Solving this issue requires the world's major powers to unite. I want to see what their plans are. 3 days later, a global conference convened online, spearheaded by Hashu Kingdom, Colombia, and the Holy See, with participation from major nations and organizations worldwide. The virtual meeting unfolded within an immense digital space, a circular assembly hall where avatars descended from the internet. Nearly every influential figure on the planet attended. Representatives from Hashu Kingdom, its 6 major regions, and Zhang Yi's faction, the Vatican Holy See's delegate, the blonde youth George Wiggins, and Benjamin Morgan, president of Colombia's Natural Science Association. Beyond these, major nations and factions, including Fremons, Britannia, the Cutan Empire, and the Pupil Organization, were all present.